this is finding the intersection points of two graphs. This is the graph of y equals x minus 1. And this is the graph of y equals x squared minus x. And where they intersect appears visually to be here. So where the two graphs connect with each other. And it looks like it's x equal 1, y equals 0. I could be wrong. And you're going to say, well, why would that be the case? Well, where I could be wrong is I could have this situation. But this is so steep and the graph isn't delineated enough that I can actually see it goes through two places. I don't know. And that's why graphically, if you're thinking about it, I can get an approximation. It may be right, it may not be right. Algebra is always right. Algebra will tell me. Graphs don't necessarily. So what does it mean? It means that these two guys are equal. They have the same x. In fact, they share the same y value and they share the same x value. That's what intersection means. So that would mean that x squared minus x has to be equal to x minus 1. Or, bringing everything to the same side, x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 0. So I subtracted x from both sides. I added 1 to both sides. Now this factors into x minus 1 times x minus 1. So we get x is 1. Now, if you're in college algebra, you would say x equal 1 multiplicity, what? 2. And multiplicity means is the number of times a 0 or a solution appears. It appears twice, x equal 1, x equal 1. So we would say, oh, it appears twice by saying multiplicity 2. But we only care that it's x equal 1. And so what's the y value? Well, y would be 1 minus 1, which is 0. So indeed, algebra tells me that it's x equal 1, y equals 0 is indeed the point of intersection. Not only is it true from the graph, but it is also true from algebra. And there are going to be times when we're going to need to do that. The next problem is reading from a graph. And so it says, given the following graph, find x-intercept, y-intercept, x-intercept, largest and smallest value. Well, x and y-intercepts are easy enough. So x-intercept or y-intercept is where the graph intersects the y-axis. There's the y-axis, and the graph is right here. So it looks like it's 0, 0. That's the y-intercept. Now, x-intercept is where the graph intersects the x-axis. 1, and there's 2, there's 3. So these are the x-intercepts, which would be, what, negative 2, 0? And it looks like 0, 0. And it looks like 3.5. 0. So 0, 0, negative 2, 0, and 3.5, 0. Now, largest value of f of x. F of x is just another name for y. largest value of y, we call that the absolute maximum, and the x values where it occurs. Anytime you're looking at biggest, smallest, we're talking about y values. And it occurs at some x value. So, largest y value and where it occurs. Well, if I trace my graph, I have looks like we got a big one here, and it's got the same value there. So as I look at this, that's your absolute max. And it looks like that y value is what number? 2. So it has an absolute max at 2 at 2x values. X equal looks like -1. And x equals, looks like what, 4? Find the smallest value of f of x. Remember, that's just y. Find the smallest value of y. That's called the absolute minimum, and the x value where it occurs. Now, if I trace my graph, the lowest it gets is right there. And it looks like it's what value? -4. So it's going to be -4 at x equals 2. Maximums and minimums are always y values. When I say what is the maximum profit, profit's a y value. And you can tell me when it happens, that's the x value.